Welcome everybody to session 18 of the Archetypical Mind Study Group. Today we're going to do a intro session to Archetypes of the Spirit.
We thank the One Infinite Creator for this opportunity to serve, to know ourselves, to accept ourselves, and to become the Creator. Let our hearts be filled with gratitude to those of Ra for bringing us the archetypes as a tool for this inner work, and those of Quo for extending our knowledge of these tools. We extend our gratitude to the channeling team at LL Research for bringing us this knowledge. We invite Quo to join us in this working. We also invite our guides, our higher selves, and the ascended masters to grace us with your presence and to show us what we need to know. May all beings find what they truly seek. Amen.
Amen. So, as I mentioned before, today we're going to start the Archetypes of the Spirit, and this group of archetypes is probably the most challenging one to tackle. So I asked Andy to say a few words about it before we start, and she kindly recorded this video for us.
Hi everyone, thanks for making it this far. It's been really great sharing this journey with you. I just wanted to remind you that Quo said that this work is not necessary for graduation, so if you've made it this far, well done. And if you don't feel inclined to continue, you've probably already surpassed the necessary whatever percentage is needed, 51 or 98, going one way or the other. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video is because for me personally, I found that working through the spirit archetypes was very, very difficult, with a lot of catalysts, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of examination of parts of myself that I really did not want to look at. I'd just like to share a quote from Quo's channeling from the 14th of June 1992, where they talk about the difficulty that can come with choosing to do this sort of internal seeking. They say the choice for positivity is not the choice for simplicity of early lessons. The choice for negativity is a choice for simplicity of early lessons. Thusly, an entity which is negative has an apparent advantage once it has progressed to a certain point of being absolutely sure of the self without the need for faith, whereas the positively polarized entity is still dealing with the endless and confusing shadows of the spiritual landscape, which is lit by the dim star of hope and the thin, delicate moonlight of faith. And then they go on to say later on in the session, before we leave this topic, we would focus once more upon the inaudible and fertile land of spiritual choice, the dark world within. Each of you gaze within. Do you feel magical? Do you feel powerful? If the answer comes too easily, it is likely that there is that within you which would choose the easy way towards power, that is, the path of negativity. For each step upon the negative path stems from within. To be positive, one wishes power so that one may help people. The way to help people is to give advice, give teaching, make sure that all is well by controlling various people and circumstances. All these things feel natural and good. Most negative entities have no idea that they are embarking upon the path of negativity. Contrasting with this is the positive path, where power is accrued by being the weakest. Inaudible. Greatness is achieved by being the servant of others, where advice and teaching are given only when offered. So, basically, it's if this is, if your choice is to take the positive path, then it will be difficult, and you won't know where you're going, and there is no power as such. There's no, there's no sense that one is becoming like Gandalf, or that, we'd be able to like conjure up mountains and, part the Red Sea or anything like that. The whole sort of magical journey from work with the spirit archetypes is incredibly simple. There's it's all just about going within and finding that self, the God self, or what I call the God particle, that is so deep within, that is so tiny, that simple, tiny, what feels like a grain of sand, and just being with that, and that's it. That is all for me anyway, that the magical work entails. It's about connection with that tiny dot within. I'd like to read another quote from Crow, from February 12th, 2006, where they talk about the magician, and they say, "A magician is one with the ability to effect changes in consciousness at will." And that's it. What is it to create changes in your consciousness by an act of will? There are three basic factors weighing on this matter. The first is yourself as an actor and a chooser. Second is your will, its recognition as a factor and its discipline by your daily work. The third is that which you effect as an act of will, the choice that lies before you that is entirely subjective. No two people shall see Catalyst in precisely the same way. Therefore, no two people as magical entities shall create the same change in consciousness. It is the right use of will that becomes the key to the working of the puzzle that lies before you when you face a choice in how to respond to a situation that you perceive. It is in the state of your mind as you approach the present moment that the use of the archetypes lies. So that's it. This thing that got Ra really excited in the channelings, it just came down to focusing our will, and also choosing where to place our attention in our daily lives, in the moment, and that is, for me anyway, the most powerful magic, I think, and that's all I feel I need. Sort of the skill to know where to place my awareness and my consciousness and my attention from moment to moment. And as we move into the spirit cycle, this will become more evident, and it will become easier. I will share a technique with you because of this difficulty. I find that when working with these archetypes, a lot of catalysts seem to arise that are relevant or correspond to the archetype that I'm working on at the time. And that can be really, really difficult. And what I found was that if I'm able to use these catalysts to turn my attention within, they then become such amazing, powerful, beautiful gifts for me to heal and discover aspects of myself. So, for example, when I used to meet, that certain people, I would say narcissistic people really, really trigger me, and I would sort of go into a bit of sort of a psychoanalysis mode, and I would fool myself by telling myself that I was being compassionate by psychoanalyzing them and saying, oh, well, they must have had a traumatic childhood. Oh, let me be empathetic, let me be compassionate. But the whole time I was doing that, I was just judging, really. And putting myself in a position of observer and, sort of a bit elevated. And it continued to bug me. These people continued to bug me. And another thing that bugged me was, well, maybe there's an aspect of me that's like that. And maybe I need to feel superior, and that's why, I'm scared of them. And just that whole intellectualizing got me into a real pickle. I just couldn't figure out why it annoyed me so much, or that I had to psychoanalyze them in order to feel less annoyed. And it never did make me feel less annoyed in the long run. At the moment, it gave me a kind of fleeting sense of understanding that made me think, oh, okay, that's all right. But that was just another power trip in my own head. And what did work eventually was when I was able to go within myself. And this is the technique that I'd like to share with you. And it's not easy at first, because the part of yourself you're looking at will not want to be seen by you, because it's used to hiding for so long. And as soon as it appears, it will disappear. But if you keep doing it, it will become more comfortable with being seen by you. And at that point, you then integrate it, and you start loving it, and it starts to feel safe. And this thing that you thought was a demon, you realize is just a little tiny puppy all along dressed up as a demon. And beneath that, there's this gem, it's guarding this gem within you that is rightfully yours and can never be taken away from you. And so this puppy / demon monster was just protecting you, and you don't have to be afraid of it or her or him. And so when something or someone triggers you, instead of trying to intellectualize it and psychoanalyze, or trying to do whatever it is that you do to try and cope, if you can just be silent and go within and say, okay, who is reacting to this? How are you reacting? What would you like? What do you need? And wait, and just send it love. And prayer to the one infinite creator, to the Christ itself, or whoever you have faith in, and just ask, keep my heart open, let me be loving. And there's no need to understand. All that's needed is an opening of your heart to the aspect of yourself that looks frightening because it's fearful or angry, or feels that there's been an injustice. And just wait. And with practice it will get easier. And yeah, I'll just share one more thing. Oh yeah, about negative greetings. This is also from the 14th of June channeling 1992 from Crow, and they say, it takes a good deal of wisdom to be able to calmly and objectively gaze upon the face of metaphysical malevolence. For those who have contacted these metaphysical sources, which are of fourth density, have garnered to themselves two things. One is a third density personality within incarnation of sureness and confidence. There is in such entity a true blackness of spirit, a honed hatred which sees no shadows. The positive path is full of shadows, of questions and doubts, of continual learning and balance. Thusly, when negative greeting is known or suspected, the positively oriented person of power sits down and prepares itself to reckon with its own universal nature. It is fully capable and fully supplied with negativity. The perceived negativity from the outside in is successful when the positively oriented intended victim knows not that it is being greeted by its very self. If a ravening beast comes at one's body, one attempts to slay that beast to save the self. If a metaphysical ravening beast attacks one in the manner of magical arts, one reckons with this attack by visualizing this creature, welcoming it into the self, and accepting fully that this horrible monster is part of the self. So, exciting times ahead. And so much love to you for doing this work. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's only love. Even the hatred or the anger or whatever, horror, disgust, those are distortions of love. And good luck.
Carla, I'd sort of like to follow up on what you said to S. The sun and the moon kind of moved me back to not only astrology, but to alchemy. The tree of life figure, the glyph, is seen by some systems as having one side that is lunar and one side that is solar. There is a resonance in me as to what you suggested as the sunny self and the nighttime self, or the dark side, that are both us and hopefully well integrated. But sometimes it is very upsetting to see our dark side, or the moon, in us. Is that the direction of thought that you were suggesting?
I am cool, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. Your interpretation of the sun and the moon of the inner self approaches that which was intended. There is much of the radiance and much of the magnetism, much of the male, much of the female, which each entity embodies within the incarnational life pattern. The information that was given through this group concerning the archetypical mind began to deal with some of this information. And we are glad that you have looked deeper than the surface of the, shall we say, original query.
Spiritual despair, on the other hand, is an absolute necessity. It is, rather than being a zero, a moving dynamic within that which informs the growth and evolution of spirit. It is only metaphysical despair, that is, the recognition that one knows nothing, that one has lost control of everything, and that one is faced with complete darkness of soul, which forces that great sliver or portion of the one creator, which is your consciousness, to turn, transform, and begin the new, not having left behind that which is old in the soul, but adding unto it, accreting more wisdom, more compassion, and more of a feeling of unity, which one can receive only when one has become desperate enough to release oneself from the expectation of any knowledge whatsoever.
There is a way in which one may use mental despair and its reflection in the physical body complex to best effect. That is to transmute mental despair into what this instrument would call the dark night of the soul or spiritual despair. One cannot analyze despair and rise transformed. One cannot act out despair by illness and rise transformed. One can, however, seek the grace and comfort that is your birthright in transmuting that which is lower into that which is higher. For as you know, my friends, one portion of the creation is a holograph of all else in creation. Thus, mental despair may, as alchemists would change lead to gold, be changed into the dark night of the soul, burnished and shining. This spiritual despair, then, may transform itself into great revolutions and positive and forward changes within the spirit.
The spirit is always the same. It is not a portion of your illusion. However, your perception of the spirit can only grow. All that you have learned before is still yours, and all that is ahead of you shall be learned because of turning from despair. It is rare that one enters into or graduates from any initiation without the impetus, the pain, and the challenge of spiritual despair. Therefore, if your soul is in agony, rejoice, for it is from this point that all good comes. Sorry. Despair is a great opportunity to endure, to show strength, to indicate faith, and to exercise the will, not just the will to think, but the will to do.
The way to climb the steps of light to a fullness that is fourth density is actually not to take on learning, but to release learning, to release those strictures of contraction which you have placed upon consciousness in order to defend the self. When entities pull themselves away from the fully open heart, it is usually not from a motive of anger, bitterness, or offense, but rather it is a move to defend the vulnerable self within. Little by little, then, the path towards graduation into fourth density involves discovering, balancing, and releasing those things from which one pulls back and contracts the self in order to survive.
God. Whew.
This one is for you, Elaine.
Ah, you see, each is as the note, tone, or complex of tones which makes up an harmonic. Each is a perfect yet unique jewel, a gem with facets that have been cleaned and polished and shaped by the tempering of those furnaces which consume distortion. Those furnaces burn brightest during times of initiation into lessons, when all seems dark and there is challenge and struggle within. In these times, we say to you, rejoice, for you have joined forces with your destiny. You have come to a time of transformation.
Take courage and know that sorrow, sadness, suffering, and grief, anger, rage, disappointment, and all the negative emotions that are felt are gifts which hold in their hands hours of despair, days, months, even years of isolation and pain and tempering. The oven of the alchemist is one designed to refine gold, to cleanse it from those things which are not gold. You may see the alchemical process working with consciousness as that refining fire in which the dross is burnt away, leaving that precious original thought, pure, shining, and untouched. You carry within you the sea of consciousness, all that there is within you. All that you seek lies waiting to be rediscovered.
The instrument has a phrase that she often invokes when a situation seems hopeless. She will say, "Take it to a higher level." And we find this to be, in a global sense, in a transformational sense, sound advice. When it is perceived that there is a discomfort to the self, this perception is simply the truth. It is a fact. The self is uncomfortable. It does not necessarily lead one to a specific response. Therefore, if it is possible in framing such a response, we recommend taking the opportunity to find the true and deep feelings of the heart on the subject, which seems to be causing the anxiety. Sorry, let me reread that. Find the true and deep feelings of the heart on the subject which seems to be causing the anxiety, and moving with those feelings, if at all possible.
However, as we said, when self-perceived failure occurs, we encourage each not to further berate the self for the failure, for it is only an apparent failure. In actuality, these actions, just like the action of elements with each other in chemistry or in alchemy, are going through certain transformations and changes, and certain products are being created. The thing about chemistry in general is that if you do not like the results of an experiment, you can start over and do it differently. And often, in your receiving of catalyst, you get the opportunity to repeat again and again and once again those things which you are rehearsing and practicing, so that you have any number of opportunities to look for that special grace which opens the heart.
From our point of view, that situation, as all situations, is perfect, for it is giving you, as the one known as Ram Dass has said, grist for your mill. There is a spiritual process going on within the life of each of you. It is infinitely complex, intricate, and subtle. The outer catalyst comes into your energy field and impinges upon it according to your biases, giving you feelings of discomfort, grief, anger, and other seemingly negative emotions.
To the worldly part of your thinking, these emotions seem unfortunate and distasteful. To the seeker within you, however, we would say that such emotions are gifts. They are gifts of a certain type. They are gifts that show you where your pain lies, and more than that, they show you what the pain is hiding. So you take those surface emotions and sit with them and allow them to ripen in your meditation time, continuing to regard those feelings with respect and with gratitude. You do well to let them mature, for even the harshest surface emotion, as it is refined by the ripening process, shall begin to deepen your nature and hollow you out so that you may carry more love, just as a chalice carries wine. Suffering of all kinds hollows out the earthly personality if you let it. It does not have to embitter you or make you cynical.
And that is why we say that things are perfect at all times, although they may be uncomfortable. Do not cringe away from your suffering, but rather cradle yourself as you endure through the natural process of the alchemy of the transforming energy of the love in your open heart.
Beautiful. When you find that there is a catalyst or experience that topples you from the centered feeling within your inner mountaintop, then this is a gift to you, from you, before the incarnation. For various types of catalyst can be perceived by a multitude of entities in a multitude of ways, for each of you has chosen to learn various lessons that are what you have determined to be the next lessons necessary in your overall soul growth. You have not come here to be immediately enlightened. You have come here to work towards that enlightenment and gain the power of polarization in the process. This is not an easy program for advancement, for you have, of necessity, needed to forget all of the truths of how the creation is made and how you are a part of it, the truth of unity, the truth of love being all present, the truth of light being that from which all is made. In this illusion, it quite easily and persistently gives you this impression that all of these things are not part of this illusion and are not part of the truth which you seek.
Thus, when you find you have been thrown from your one pointed center, that still point of unity, then in a portion of your meditation for the evening, it is well to take this experience, to relive it again in the meditative state, that you may expand it and allow it to become larger than it was in real life, to become ridiculously large, so that you experience it to the fullest. You experience all of the power of seeming separation, of disharmony, of doubt, of confusion, of jealousy, of rage, of anger, whatever the emotion, whatever the experience that has taken you away from your unity, may be utilized to find that unity deep within the self once again.
For when you experience it in a ridiculously large manner and then see the opposite coming toward you, if you are angry, seeing love coming toward you, and allow it to become as large in proportion as was the anger to begin with, then this process of balancing will give you an even keel, shall we say, according to that situation, so that you see it as an opportunity for you to know yourself more fully, for you to know the Creator more fully, and for the Creator to know itself more fully. That is the purpose of the creation, my friends, that the Creator may know itself in greater depth and greater intensity and greater variety.
And thus, each of you, as a portion of the Creator, give to the Creator this great gift of your own learning, that you have found the Creator where it was not before in your perception. This is a process which takes a great deal of time to accomplish, and yet it is that which each of you has been born into for the purpose of doing. This creation about you is that which is loaded, shall we say, with various kinds of catalyst that can give you this opportunity to expand your awareness of the balance within yourself and with all of the creation. Your pre-incarnative choices have put certain charge, shall we say, upon various kinds of catalyst that your subconscious mind shall guide to you during your incarnative experience, so that when you see this catalyst coming to you, you will respond in a certain fashion, hopefully, if you are in harmony and unity with your pre-incarnative choices.
Each of you has, perhaps, a handful of these lessons which you wish to learn during your incarnation. As you begin to learn these lessons more and more fully and process them in the meditative state, so that the meditative state is able to seat the lesson within your being, then you're able to profit from this process, and you have increased your polarization in either service to others or service to self, depending upon your choice. And we are sure that those here have chosen service to others.
Thus, you will find that as you move further and further through the incarnative process, and gain the wisdom of years and the equanimity of experience, that you will discover certain, shall we say, benefits, or as the business world would call it, perks, that come to you as a result of your being able to take in the catalyst of the world, the confusions, and to make sense of them, to do as the alchemist, to make gold out of dross, to make the pearl of great price out of the passing fancy, the difficult emotion, the disharmonious choices.
My friends, each of you is part of the Creator. Understand this principle, and you will no longer be burdened with the illusion that has been passed on to you by your fellow man, who has dwelled for very long in a state of ignorance. Why should you learn lessons from those who know nothing, who know less than nothing? For they have built a complex illusion that is not even remotely related to truth. This creates many problems and difficulties for those that accept it. We suggest that you reject it in all of its forms and return to the understanding of your true being, which you have within you. Become aware of your position in this universe. Become aware of your at oneness with the creation, and then go forth and serve your fellow men, for in this way you create that condition which the Creator desired, and in this way you are able to function in exact harmony with the original thought.
Jan, or is it Jan? We have a query from Sherry, and Sherry says, it is my understanding that by taking in dark energy or service to self polarized catalyst and applying our light energy or service to others orientation to it, we not only can dispel the darkness, but can actually transmute it into a third type of energy, which is the Christ energy. This is of supreme importance to our planet and our people at this time, kind of a 1 + 1 = 3. I had a dream where Jesus explained it and gave me a symbolic gold ring so that I would remember this as alchemy. Do I understand this concept properly? Can Quo talk about this spiritual alchemy and how we may be as efficacious as possible at this practice? It seems easier to visualize when I think of the human body as a crystal.
Kuo. I am Kuo, and I am aware of your query, my sister. Indeed, this type of spiritual alchemy is possible for the one who has traveled with great experience and success upon the spiritual path for a period of time. This alchemy is the work of the adept. Okay, so now we're moving into a meditation contemplation recorded with Andy, and I think we should do this with our eyes open because Andy is going to talk about the different cards and we're showing an image of the card on the screen. So I'm gonna hit play.
So I'll just give everyone a minute to go and get a pen and a piece of paper if you haven't got that on you. And just number them on the piece of paper, write down in sequence 1 to 30. As we go through this meditation, I will bring up images of each of the archetypes of the spirit, and as you gaze upon them, I will ask these questions and just write yes or no, whatever comes to your mind first, Y or N or true or false. The purpose of this is because when we work with the archetypes of the spirit, we often find that difficulties arise. We might get negative greetings, we might have doubts, we might have particularly powerful catalysts, and it's useful to come back to check on our answers to these questions. Firstly, to see how far we've come, and also to see where our weak spots might be. Okay, when you're ready, get into a comfortable position. Take a deep breath in. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. And relax. Relaxing from the bottom up, starting with our toes, feet, ankles, moving up the calves and shins, relaxing the knees, thighs, hips, moving up the torso, up the abdominal area, relaxing the chest, relaxing the shoulders, upper arms, relax your elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, and fingers, relaxing the neck, jaw, cheeks and ears, back of the head, eyes, eyebrows, forehead, and your crown. And then welcoming in the light from above you, opening up the violet ray energy center, the indigo ray energy center, the blue ray energy center, the green ray energy center, the yellow ray energy center, the orange ray energy center, and the red ray energy center. Feel the presence of this light moving down, and also feel the energies of the earth moving up your feet. And your beingness as the point at which these two energies meet and blend. Be aware of your wholeness. Bring your awareness to yourself, whatever that might mean to you, as a complete being. Bring your awareness to the energies of the heavens and the earth, swirling and blending within you. Protecting you, infusing you with love. Feel the grace of this energy. Bring your attention to the image on the screen, the matrix of the spirit. Without trying to interpret it at this moment, just your attention and accepting whatever you think or feel about this image, and answer this question on your piece of paper with a simple yes or no. Am I willing to go into the darkness in order to illuminate what is hidden? Second question, do I have the desire to become willing to go into the darkness in order to illuminate what's hidden? So the first question asks if you're willing, and if you feel a resistance. The second question says, do you have the desire, meaning do you wish to not have the resistance anymore? The following questions will follow in this vein, with the first being, are you willing? And the second being, do you have the desire to be willing? Number 3, am I willing to expose and examine my deepest fears to myself in order to find the true courage within me? Number 4, do I have the desire to expose and examine my deepest fears to myself in order to find true courage within me? Five, Am I prepared to face the most wretched aspects of myself, of humanity within myself, and fully accept and love them? 6. Do I have the desire to become willing to face the most wretched aspects of myself, of humanity within myself, and fully accept and love them? 7. Do I have the determination to find the light within myself, even if it means revealing my innermost demons and embracing them? 8. Do I have the desire to have that determination to find the light within myself, even if it means revealing my innermost demons and embracing them? We now move on to the potentiator of the spirit, the lightning struck tower. Sit with this image. Question 9. Am I willing to dismantle the structures that defined a false self that I have co-created in order to reveal my glorious true self? Question 10. Do I have the desire to become willing to dismantle the structures that define the false self that I have co-created in order to reveal my glorious true self? Question 11. Am I willing to accept the pain that this dismantling will cause me and use the catalyst to become more purified as an instrument for the Creator? Question 12. Do I have the desire to become willing to accept the pain that this dismantling will cause me and use the catalyst to become more purified as an instrument for the Creator? Now rest your eyes on the next image, the catalyst of the spirit, the star. It will help if you answer these questions quickly rather than think about them. Question 13. Am I willing to enter the most disgusting, infested waters of my consciousness in order to transform it into the clearest, purest spring? Do I have the desire to become willing to enter the most disgusting, infested waters of my consciousness in order to transform it into the clearest, purest spring? That was question 14. Question 15. Am I willing to persist through the most difficult times in order to move into the peace that passes understanding? Question 16. Do I have the desire to become willing to persist through the most difficult times in order to move it into the peace that passes understanding? And now we come to the experience of the spirit, the moon. Let your eyes rest on this image without judgment, without trying to make intellectual sense of it for now. And rest into this image. Question 17. Am I willing to give up every belief I have ever held in order to find the knowledge I already hold in my heart? Question 18. Do I have the desire to become willing to give up every belief I have ever held in order to find the knowledge I already hold in my heart? Question 19. Am I willing to leave behind my fears in order to find true sanctuary within myself? Question 20. Do I have the desire to become willing to leave behind my fears in order to find true sanctuary within myself? Now we're at the significator of the spirit card, or the sun. Rest on this image. Question 21. Am I willing to stop performing a role that has been falsely created in order to experience true beingness? Question 22. Do I have the desire to become willing to stop performing a falsely created role in order to experience true beingness? Question 23. Am I willing to shine my light on all, including the aspects of myself and the world that horrify and disgust me? Question 24. Do I have the desire to become willing to shine my light on all, including the aspects of myself and the world that horrify and disgust me? Now we get to the transformation of the spirit, judgment or resurrection. Rest your eyes on this image and feel the image. Question 25. Am I willing to surrender all the stories I have held about myself, my place in the world and the world itself, in order that I may be resurrected and new stories can unfold. Question 26. Do I have the desire to become willing to surrender all the stories I have held about myself, my place in the world and the world itself, in order that I may be resurrected and new stories can unfold? Now we get to the great way of the spirit, the universe, or the world. Rest your eyes on this image. Become aware of your feelings when looking at this image. Question 27. Am I willing to illuminate and then completely abandon the chaos of my mind and dwell in the stillness of my heart? Question 28. Do I have the desire to illuminate and then completely abandon the chaos of my mind and dwell in the stillness of my heart? Question 29. Am I willing to release all control and become purely an instrument for the Creator's song, whatever that might be? Question 30. Do I have the desire to become willing to release all control and become purely an instrument for the Creator's song, whatever that might be? These questions are not for you to pass judgment on yourself. They're just there for you to become aware of where your blockages might be. I would recommend that they not be shared with anyone. Keep them private, because you never know how someone else will react. And they might be a useful tool when you need to come back to it. Just sit with the silence. Become aware of your body, your mind, your spirit, as the meeting point between the above and the below, the past and the future, the good and the bad. As we move into the spirit cycle, become aware that you're preparing for deep alchemical work, which will transform one's seeking. And if you feel hesitant and choose not to proceed, you can stop here and go back to the first 14 archetypes. Crow has said that this work is not necessary for graduation. And also you can stop at any point when you feel uncomfortable. And become aware of how you feel right now. Are you feeling excited, nervous, fearful, accepting whatever you feel, knowing that the one infinite creator dwells within you and is all around you, and that you are loved.